The Brutalist. This is an interesting movie. Um, this got nominated for Best Picture. I've actually been dying to see this since for months now, but it finally started being really wider this weekend. It's it got it mostly because obviously it was going to get nominated for Best Picture. They planned this on time. It got its Oscar noms, everything, and I got to go see an IMAX. And I will say, before I talk about the movie, I really, 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 I can't stress this, really appreciate that they had an intermission. Theaters need to normalize talking the studios into putting intermissions for their 3-hour movies. I'm looking at you, Killers of the Flower Moon. I know that was a Scorsese thing, and he refused to put a intermission with that. But I'm sorry, ask James Cameron if he'll put an intermission for Avatar. If he'll do it, do it. The Batman, 3 hours long, should have an intermission. And I realize this should be normal for a couple reasons. First of all, people getting their food will sit in line with people who are also watching the same movie, and they'll have a discussion about that movie. It is good for the movie to create discussion and intrigue for the last half of the movie, and it is good for the theater chains because guess what I did? I don't buy popcorn at movies. This movie I did. I don't buy drinks at the theaters. This time I did, mostly because, I'll be real, I have a majority of theaters I go to. There's one I work at, so I get my drinks for free. The other two, I normally go to. I just go to the Dollar Tree, and I will get a drink from there, and then just put it behind my back because I'm in a wheelchair. No one's gonna say anything, and I go to these theaters. I clean up after myself. It's not like the employees care that much. So, but I do try to support these theaters in other ways, buying their exclusive popcorn buckets sometimes and buying tickets and stuff and promoting them on social media, things like that. So it's not like I don't support the theater chains. I just don't tend to buy a lot of food. And, this time I did because, it felt justified because of that intermission. And I feel like if more movies had intermissions, it would help the theater industry quite a bit because number one, that guy who bought a medium popcorn is gonna want a refill. Well, he didn't buy a large, so he's gonna have to buy another popcorn. Or that guy wants a drink. He bought a medium drink, so he doesn't get a refill, so he'll buy another drink. Whatever. And they may go, well, I was thinking about the ice cream, that candy. Now I'll get it. Things like that. We need to normalize this sort of behavior with these movies. It is good for the movie, it's good for the industry, and it's good for the theater chains. Anyways, now let's talk about this movie. What the fuck did I just watch? I mean that in the best way possible. This is a movie about a guy making his magnum opus. That is the best way I can describe it to you. Because that's really what this film is about. And it's about the anger and frustration of what it means to be an artist. In the making sense, whether that be someone who paints, draws, writes movies, writes books, TV shows, director, whatever it is. Music could be any field. You are going to get something out of this movie because it is describing that pain of you are working on a collaborative medium and you are working to create something and you are being told no, you're being told you're going over and under budget, whatever it is, and someone's angry at you. But you know, because you can see it in your mind, this is what's best for this. You're the artist, you know what's good for your art. They can't come in here and see and visualize what you're seeing from your art. Sometimes you're not always right. There are some artists that aren't really great at filmmaking or writing or whatever. But for the majority of the time, I will say artists do know better than the people funding their stuff, whatever it is. And so, how many times have you had a thing like the movie Seven? They try to change the ending of that movie, the studio. And now we all revere that movie and love that movie, especially because of its ending. Artists tend to know better and know their creations better, but it's that battle. And you see that quite a bit throughout this movie. It's about the pain and struggle of that. Adrian Brody, of course, has gotten a lot of talk For good and bad, there's some controversy that isn't what quite people are making out to be. There are better videos explaining that. So it's not my job to explain that. So I'm not going to. But just talking about his performance and not the controversy around it, incredible. He is not my pick for Best Actor, but I do think he definitely did deserve his nomination, even if he is someone who's already won before. And I think that's something that we should amend. I think we should try to change the rules so people who win don't get nominated anymore. But this is a very powerful movie. And I think that it's earned its length, its runtime. You don't feel it. I really didn't feel it. Of course, first hour of any 3-hour movie is going to be a little bit sluggish. But that's just the nature of those kind of movies. And you just got to sit with it to get to the really strong and emotional depths this movie goes for. All the performances, the whole movie is beautifully done, crafted, put together. If you love the art of filmmaking, artistic cinema, this is some of the best cinematography you've ever seen. Also, I will note, I don't think this movie got nominated for Best Original Score. I think that's a shame, because there's some incredible moments with some of the score. This is just a truly wonderful movie. And a lot of watching this movie just kind of gave me this feeling of like, how did they do that? Because what I read about this movie is they made this movie for under $10 million and they shot this whole movie in less than 50 days. I'm like, how the fuck do you make a movie like this, like that, with these actors and these people, and make something this incredible? It really is a miracle. And this also movie was shot in a 70mm film and made to look old-fashioned, and you really feel that with this movie. It's another praiseworthy aspect. There are so many praiseworthy aspects of this movie that a minute ago I was ready to turn off the camera and then I was like, oh, I forgot to mention these points and I want to make sure I mention that. And so inevitably I will forget something to say about this movie. But all I can say is go see this movie. Because holy shit, this is a powerful movie. It is wild, this movie. It's not perfect at all. Like I said, it's a little bit sluggish in certain points. There's moments of this film that don't feel like it's maybe as poignant as it thinks it is, but for the majority of this movie, it is more than poignant. And I really am going to stick with some of the images and moments of this film. If I had another 3.5 hours, I probably will go see it again. But there's always more movies to check out on my list. I'm going to go see Flight Risk tomorrow, and I'm going to go see The Colors Within Wednesday, and then I'm going to go see Dogman and The Presence. So it's a very busy week with quite a few movies. Don't always have time for every movie, but this is one you are not going to want to miss.